Hey Scruffy, how you doing? Oh, that's a quiet meow. Okay, that's a little louder. It's a little louder. So I don't think you spoke yesterday, so guess that's an improvement, huh? So you ready for dinner? Yeah. So I have your hearty cuts with real chicken and beef with kibble, and I put some chicken skin in there. So I know you love your chicken skin. So I have, I think, a few days worth of chicken skin for you. So I'll be giving it to you for the next several days with your food. Sound good? Okay, well, I guess I'll bring it out. And pick up the plate and open the door, okay? Okay, so open the door now. Okay. So I'm gonna pick up the food. Okay, so I'm coming out. There's that hiss, huh? I should ignore your hisses. I'm kind of tired of walking around on eggshells around you. So maybe I should just start charging forward and bringing the food out and ignoring you. Okay, so I'll walk past you. I'm now drinking water. Looks like the ants got in your water again. So we are on the 2 last days of the heat wave. Okay, so sit in the chair now. And I'm going to put the glove on. And you are really far from me. I can't reach you from there. So my glove's over here. Okay, that's better. So I haven't seen Scruffy sleep on the chair in many days now. And I think the stool that I put next to the chair could be a reason he's not sleeping in the chair anymore. So I'm going to move that stool if I remember. It could be a coincidence because I don't know. I don't remember if he was sleeping in the chair before I moved, or right before I moved to put the chair there. But yeah, I haven't been seeing Scruffy much since the heat wave. Oh, there's a love bite. So I put the stool there at the request of some viewers who suggested I should make it easier for him to get up the chair. So he seems to go wherever he wants. He doesn't seem to actually have too many troubles going where he wants. Most of his troubles are he's terrified of everything, so that gets in his way. So the first time I tried getting him to jump up in the chair, he failed because he was afraid to jump with me there, and he screwed up the jump, and he didn't make the jump. But when I'm not around, he gets up on the chair just fine. So anyway, yeah, it's the last 2 days of the heat wave, so it's starting to cool down, so we're not on the like high temperatures of the heat wave. So I think today and tomorrow are going to be very similar. I think, yeah, they're warmer than yesterday, but not miserably hot. But I was thinking I was going to go for a bike ride today, but I was actually kind of tired and leg was a little bit sore, and basically I just didn't have the motivation to do a bike ride today. So I decided to make it a recovery day. So I'm kind of due for one. And then it actually, I think, works out better if I delay things because the temperatures are going to cool down pretty dramatically after the heat wave's over. So better take a rest day when it's hot and enjoy the cooler days. So I did some pull-ups today. Didn't see Scruffy around though, so I have no idea where he was. Oh, there was an interesting story last night. So I was opening up a bunch of windows and another door we have, trying to cool down the house. And let's see, when I first opened up the blinds, yeah, Scruffy happened to be out in front of that area, and he was watching me open the blinds, and he I guess took notice that I happened to be opening blinds. I think he was surprised because he probably hasn't seen me do that. And yeah, so he was staring right at me as I was opening the blinds, and then I opened the window, and then he scattered. He did not like me. Actually, it was a patio door, I think, yeah. So he didn't like me, basically looking like I might be getting closer to him. He was actually pretty far. He wasn't next to the door or anything. So then later that night, I heard a meow, and I decided I would investigate because I didn't expect to hear any meow. I was worried maybe, yeah, he was gonna get in a fight with Boots or something. So I did want to break that up if that was an issue. But he was actually not next to the patio door, but he was a bit far back. But he was looking through it, and it was dark, so I had to turn on some lights and stuff. And yeah, he was watching me. He, I think, meowed, possibly to get my attention. I don't know. He didn't meow anymore though. So anyway, I basically sat on the inside of the house and tried to talk to him through the door. Just try to figure out what he wanted. Or just, get him acclimated to my voice. So I hear cats have terrible face recognition for humans, so they can't really tell humans apart by visuals. However, they're good with voices, I hear, and then of course they're good with smell. So I was hoping, by talking to him, maybe it would assure him that it was me and not some other random human. So he didn't run, but he didn't get any closer. So I sat and talked to him for a few minutes, and nothing seemed to be coming of it, so I basically just said, "Okay, I'm gonna let you be." And then I didn't see him the rest of the night. Okay, so I think we're ready for food, huh? You want some last good rubs, huh? Okay, so we'll give you a couple more few rubs here and we'll get you your food, okay? Okay, let's get you your food. Okay, I'm gonna brush you. So I saw Scruffy a lot yesterday because he had that extra lunch feeding, and then our normal dinner feeding, and then those two incidents in the middle of the night. But didn't see him today. Okay, I'm gonna flip the brush over. Just the brush. Okay, I'm done. So late this afternoon, I went for a walk. So waited for the UV index to go down and it to start cooling down. There was actually quite a few people at the park. I was surprised. So there were a couple parties, I think. So big groups of people. They've set up tents and tables and chairs, different parts of the park. And, a lot of barbecues. There was one group came really well prepared. They had two very large, long barbecues. I want to say industrial grade, but yeah, I don't think they're actually industrial grade. But yeah, they're like extra large barbecues. And boy, that looked good. When you think of industrial grade barbecues, there used to be, unfortunately they went out of business, but there used to be a soul food restaurant. I wouldn't say that close, but yeah, it was in the area. And yeah, I don't know many soul food restaurants, so it was so I enjoyed going there once in a while, and yeah, really good food. And yeah, one of the things they had was an industrial strength barbecue, and they would do ribs basically non-stop in this barbecue, so just constantly throwing on more ribs to get them through the day. So you could see, when you're walking in, you could see the ribs kind of in the back, or the barbecue's in the back doing the ribs on the outside of the building. So yeah, real barbecue going. So got a small hint of that today watching their barbecues because they had two two large barbecues, side by side, lined up, and they're cooking lots of meat. Boy, that looked good. And let's see, I think there was another tent there, had windows on the tent. So I don't know if they're painted or they give it the illusion that it's like a metal frame with small panes of glass. So it looks kind of like a house, a bunch of house windows. So I think that tent, they were doing a baby shower. And then there were a couple more groups of people doing big barbecues. A bunch more tents. One group, very big group. Instead of tents, they were smart and they just camped out at some very, very large trees. And so basically, you need a tent because the trees are so large. You basically had all the cover you needed. Another interesting thing was I think this is the first time I've seen the majority of people not wear masks. And furthermore, not only was it the majority of people, it was like a super majority of people. So I was kind of expecting to be like 60-40 or something like that, but I'd say it was something like 80-20 or 90-10 even. So didn't expect to see it. So I expected to see it flip eventually, but I was not expecting to see it flip that dramatically, just like one day. So, but nice to see. Speaking of barbecues and foods, so my sun oven chicken, I was talking about it possibly drying out. And it was a little dry last night. So I'm a little sad. It didn't completely dry out, so it was edible. But I should have taken it out. There's actually this weird contradiction. So the meat was actually a little dry in certain parts. But I did a homemade shake and bake breading. And the breading was actually a little soggy. So it kind of got the worst in both worlds. So there's enough moisture trapped in the sun oven to basically make the breading soggy. But it basically overcooked the chicken where the meat got dry. So I don't think I'm going to be able to leave the chicken in extra long. So so for those who missed the spiel yesterday, so one of the advertisements of the sun oven is that you can't overcook things and things stay moist. There's a degree of truth to it, a kernel of truth, but my experience is there's a lot of nuance to it, and yes, you can dry out your food, and yes, you can overcook your food. It depends a lot on, at least in my experience, it seems to depend on what you're cooking and how intense the direct sunlight is, and the time of day you're cooking, and there are a lot of factors. So fortunately, my food dried out a little. So my hope was I could just leave the food in throughout, afternoon, evening when I was ready for it. Even so, the idea was I was going to cook it the right amount, and then about when it was done, the sun would start. I'd start losing direct sunlight because of the trees and the sunset, and then in fact I was not going to keep pointing the sun oven at the sun anymore. So I was hoping it would just kind of cool down, and then because the seal is kind of airtight, the moisture kind of stays within the sun oven, so things don't evaporate. hopefully the idea is you don't lose the moisture and your food doesn't dry out. But I think, yeah, there was still too much heat and the meat dried out, but the moisture stayed in there, so the breading got soggy. So in the future, yeah, I think I'm gonna have to take out at least the chicken. I've done pot roasts in the sun oven before. I've had mixed results. So sometimes it comes out perfectly, and then a few times I've had it where it actually evaporated all the liquid from the stew out of the pot, and then it condensated on the inside of the oven, and so all the water basically poured out inside the oven, and so basically it was drenched inside the oven, but the stew had basically evaporated, so the meat became like really dry, and vegetables kind of dried up, and I was able to save most of it by pouring liquid back into the stew, or chicken broth. And actually, it was actually pretty good. Some of the meat was a little dried up, so it wasn't good, but the parts that weren't dried up were actually really good, and had a kind of interesting side effect because the stew flavoring basically became very concentrated, so it had a ton of flavor. And then rehydrating it with like chicken broth, not overdoing the chicken broth, but just like little bits of chicken broth, basically gave the stew a very strong and very nice flavor to it. So I was actually not unhappy with that came out, except for the dried up parts of the meat. But yeah, I found that wasn't consistent because future times, yeah, that didn't happen, and so I think it has a lot to do with like how intense the sun is and how much direct sunlight you get in the sun oven. So if you're constantly turning it at the point to the sun, or if you're just kind of leaving it in direct light. For stews, you don't need to keep it in direct light because you're slow cooking it then. I think that day where I overdid it, I think I pointed at the sun a few times because I did have a bad experience where the stew didn't cook all the way because I didn't get enough sunlight. So finding a happy medium, the sun oven takes a little bit of practice. It's not exactly a fire and forget type thing. So yeah, Scruffy's like hiding in this very difficult spot where I can only see pieces of him. So I think I'm just gonna call it quits here. So he cleans his bowl. I guess he likes chicken skin, and yeah, it seemed to slow him down a little bit. So yeah, so we have a slower dinner tonight. So anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.